Good morning. It is so great to be here with you, and I share Cabot's thing about this 7:30. I'm usually never somewhere at 7:30 unless it's by court order. I, I dropped my son off at school at 7 a.m. It was still dark. The doors weren't open, but anything for CASA. I want to take just a moment before I get into my remarks and say a special hello to my friends who are here. I know that my colleagues on the juvenile court, Judge Gill, Judge Price are here. Judge Jameson had to leave. And for our county auditor, Clarence Mingo. I mean, dude, I went to get gas the other day. You had 3 signs on the gas tank. You are evaluating well in Franklin County. I know Judge O'Donnell is here from the Common Pleas Court, and Judge Green is here from the Franklin County Municipal Court. So thank you, because they are the people that make the system work. And then I do have to take a special moment and say hello and acknowledge my friend, Congresswoman Deborah Price. She is really just a bright light. I had to say to her, "Are you glad you weren't in Congress last night?" But you know, it's funny because people like Debbie Price are just genuine people. She was my first supervisor, ladies and gentlemen. I've known her for 30 years. We worked together in the city prosecutor's office, and we had a lot of fun together when we were a lot younger. And I used to tell her when we were both in elective office that we were like Russia and the United States. If either of us told, it was assured mutual destruction. So it's awesome to have her here. So I am for the child. I am for the child because, as you heard Cabot say, I could have been one of those children. Many of the people that I went to Mifflin High School with did not make it out. And the only reason that I did is because I had a strong mother, a strong grandmother, and I had people in my life who mentored me and pushed me and believed in me at a time when I couldn't believe in myself and didn't really know what the future might hold. When I was a juvenile court judge, I can remember the feeling of being overwhelmed by the number of cases that came in, because no matter how many kids you helped today, you knew tomorrow that there were going to be more. It felt often like standing in the ocean with a teaspoon. You wanted to help. You wanted to make sure that every child had a safe place to live and a safe family. And often the system was overburdened back then, and we had too many children in foster care. But then we got CASA. And CASA was like a bright light. It wasn't easy, but we had judges in Franklin County who were early adopters of CASA. We had lawyers telling us that volunteers could never do the work of an attorney GAL, that children needed to have their rights protected in court, and nobody disagrees with that. But I can tell you from where I sat on the bench, I saw everybody protecting parents' rights and nobody protecting children's rights. And so when CASA came in, we finally had somebody who was going to stand up for that child, to be their advocate in that courtroom. And let me give you a glimpse of what it's like to be on a common pleas court in Franklin County today. When we sit on the juvenile court, we would have 25 to 30 cases. They would just keep coming in. And this is the view that I would see from my bench. I would see the caseworker arrive. Prosecutor would arrive, go up to the caseworker and say, "What's going on with this family?" Attorney for parents would arrive, come up to the caseworker and say, "What's going on with this family?" The defense attorney for one of the fathers would come in and say, "What's going on with this family?" The GAL would come in and go to the caseworker and say, "What's going on with this family?" The only person who had information, despite 5 different people standing up and acting like they had new information to give me, was the Franklin County Children's Services worker. But that changed when we got CASA. Because when we got CASAs, what I got were passionate volunteers. I got men and women who saw their children. They didn't just come into court after reading a report. They didn't bring a child to their office. They had actually gone to see that child in foster care. They had gone to that child's school and talked to the teachers. They had talked to grandparents and relatives. And so when they came in, they were giving me real information about this child. And that's no offense to lawyers. We're not trained to do that. And any lawyer who is a trial lawyer doesn't have the hours to go out there and visit the child and all of the people important to the child. That's what makes CASA so special, because these volunteers, they have one case, and it's the most important thing that they do. And they stay with that child and that family throughout the duration. As you heard Cabot say, they are the one consistent person for that child. Judges may change, social workers may change, prosecutors may change, but that CASA is there advocating for that child, being the voice of that child. And I can tell you, my CASAs, with no pay to themselves, they would give birthday parties for kids. I had a CASA who bought a little girl her first baby doll. I had a CASA when we had a family of 6 children who gave them a Christmas. These children had never had Christmas presents. And this woman from Dublin, I'll never forget, she was a stay-at-home mom. She went to all her friends. She raised money so that those 6 children woke up on Christmas Day with Christmas presents like we would want for your child or my child. That's the difference you get with CASA. The other thing is this. We have to make sure that CASA has the ability to continue. When I left the court, I said I wanted every child in Franklin County to have a CASA. Right now, they're serving about a quarter of the kids on the caseload at Franklin County Juvenile Court. I think we need to make that better. I think every child needs to have a CASA, somebody that they look to, who they know is believing in them and who is supporting them. And if for no other reason, think about it this way. These children are part of us. Marion Wright Edelman once said that we should want for all children that which we want for our own. And if we really believe that, and you're here because you believe that, then we have to make an investment so that we know that every child that comes through Franklin County Juvenile Court has a CASA advocating for them. And I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the 9-year-old you ignore today, you do so at your peril. Because the 9-year-old we ignored today will be the 15-year-old with the 9mm in your back tomorrow. I will never forget, as long as I live, Lamar Coleman. Lamar Coleman and Anthony Cassier. Lamar Coleman, when he was 15 years old, killed Anthony Cassier. Anthony Cassier was from Cleveland, and he was attending college here. And Lamar Coleman and his gang members found Anthony Cassier as he was leaving his job late one night, and they killed him for a grand total of $200. I mention him every time I give a speech like this, because what's important to know about Lamar Coleman is if there had been a CASA, if there had been somebody who could have rescued Lamar Coleman from the dysfunctional family that he was with in the Windsor Terrace housing project, he might not be doing 30 years to life, and Anthony Cassier might not be dead. We know that communities that don't have CASA programs, and I was in Cleveland 2 weeks ago, they do not have one, and they have 26% of the children in child welfare in this state are in Cuyahoga County, and they have been 26% of the children in child welfare in foster care longer than 5 years are in Cuyahoga County. And I went there 2 weeks ago and told them if they had a CASA, that would change. Because just like you heard on the video, children who live in long-term foster care, boys are 50% chance of ending up in the correctional system, and girls have a 3 times greater chance of being a teenage mother. This is really about protecting children and providing for the next generation. Children don't get to choose who they're born to. Children have all the hope and potential when they come here. They aren't packing a 9mm in their diaper. It's because of the circumstances into which they were born, and we can instill hope in them. We can make a difference for them, and it only takes a little bit of time. So what I'm asking you to do is to be for that child, because you don't know, one of those kids could be you. One of those kids with a little bit of support who's born to a teenage mother could end up being somebody very special if they just have somebody to believe in them. It's the power of hope. It's the power of hope. And that's what CASA gives. We need you. We need not only your money, but we need you to volunteer and to tell everybody you know that if you're looking for something meaningful to do, CASA is it. Dave Thomas, when he was alive, 20 years ago, I served on his Foundation for Adoption. And when Dave called me to ask me if I would serve on his board, he said, you know, Judge, it's important that kids know that somebody cares about them. Dave Thomas never forgot being an adopted child. Despite all of his success, he never forgot what it meant to have a forever family. That's what we're trying to do, is to give children a forever family. And we've got some partners in that work. We've got people here like Cal Murray. Stand up, Cal. Cal Murray is a former football player. Keep standing. Former football player for The Ohio State University and the NFL. He played for the Eagles and the Bears. Loved that game against the Steelers. Dude, they looked like the Bears of the Super Bowl days on that night. That was awesome. And he is going to be one of our supporters in bringing more men to the cause. Jim Corsados, a former quarterback for OSU and president of the NFL Alumni Association. He has helped raise over $40,000 for CASA. And my friend Vince Duncan, where are you? Keep standing, Jim. No. Keep standing. Where's Vince Duncan? Vince, I know you're Vince Duncan back here, who's on the CASA board. Okay. So I want you to look at these men. Don't sit down yet. I'll give you a judicial order when you can sit. Look. These three men are helping us recruit men because we have a disproportionate number of boys in the foster care system who need to see men like these that they can look up to, men who can talk to them about what it means to be a man. It's not that bravado you see on TV. It's about integrity and character. So I want you to make your way after this is over to meet these three men. Tell them how you're going to help recruit men to the cause of CASA, and then leave them with a check that goes to CASA, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. And finally, as I'm going to close here, there is no greater feeling than making a difference in a child's life. You literally can change the trajectory of a child. I was in the Columbus airport last year, and I'll never forget. This is a sign of being old, but a man came up to me he was in his mid to late 30s, and he said, "I've been waiting a long time to run into you." He said, "I know you probably don't remember this." He said, "But I was in your court when I was 15 years old." He said, "And you looked at me and you said, if I come back here ever again, you were going to send me to prison." He said, "I want you to know that I work at the airport. I just got promoted to supervisor, and I'm married with 3 children. Thank you." What an amazing thing that is. You can be that for somebody too. For every $1,000 we raise here today, every $1,000, that means another kid gets served by CASA. And we don't stop until CASA is representing every abused, neglected, and dependent child that has a case in front of Franklin County Juvenile Court. Right now, we're at 25%. I hope next year we can come back and tell you we're at 50%, but your support today makes a difference. Thank you, and God bless you.